you can't go into hospitality and work 9 to 5. It's not a job, it's a lifestyle, like, and it really is. So that's my number. If people are going into, I know a lot of people go into serviced accommodation, they're going to the contractor market, and that I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the strategy that I do. You have got to be personally invested in creating them experiences, and it's a lifestyle. It isn't a 9 to 5 job.
Having a blast, gonna get it on the Bruce Lee podcast. Bruce Lee like Bruce Lee, cause it's so hard and the T is loose leaf. Making up those rhymes, don't write it, just do it loosely. If you want my respect, you'll better put direct. Here are the words in the podcast, that's what comes next.
Welcome back to the Bruce Lee podcast. This is a podcast that gives you the tools, the tactics, the training, and most importantly, the confidence so you can go out there and get yourselves direct bookings. We do a mini series on this podcast, which interviews interesting, successful hosts from all over the world. And today we've got a host who is a little bit closer to home. She's based in the UK. She's absolutely fantastic. And they say that success leaves clues. And this is who I think of when I think of a short-term rental host who's doing all the right things to achieve exactly what needs to be achieved. And this is going to be a great one. So please welcome Laura Muse from Muse Escapes. And yeah, let's dive in. Laura, welcome along.
Thank you, Liam. Nice to speak to you.
Well, it's great to speak to you. And there's so many more things that we could talk about, even other than the hospitality stuff, because I know you're an investor. You've got your own event now starting up as well as event which is going on. You've also got a social media group, which is huge, and you're very active in so many different areas. So this is going to be so much fun. So start off by giving the people who don't already know you an intro, an elevator pitch as to yourself and Muse Escapes.
Yeah, so my name is Laura Muse. I am a Sheffield-based property investor, and in 2022 we got the keys to our first STR short-term rental in the Peak District, which is literally 20-minute. Well, it's 40 minutes from here, but to get to the Peaks from Sheffield's 20 minutes. And been embarking on this crazy roller coaster of hospitality because it is very different from property investing.
I should just mention as well, you're doing speaking events and things like that. I forgot to include that in there, but you're actually going around now speaking at different events as well, which is cool.
Yeah, I mean, obviously I work with my husband. So me and my husband have been investing full-time in property since 2018. We started off with a 3-bed terrace, etc., and then we've kind of built our portfolio. James invested pre-2018, so it's been building up for quite a while. So we haven't kind of gone from zero to buying mansions. It's been a process over quite a long time. And yeah, so I started talking a couple of years ago about how to use social media to raise your profile, to raise investment. So we work with investors to purchase our properties. We buy them, we refurbish them, we refinance them, and then we pay the investor back. That's kind of how the model's been working. And then we've taken that model and now we use it in our STR business. So same for Fox Lowgrange, same for Candle House. But yeah, that's me.
What is the properties like? Who is the kind of target avatar? And tell us about that.
So just a bit of background on what the model I chose. So as we've got a young family. We've got Isabel, who's 7. Obviously a couple of years ago she was younger, she was 5. We've got 2 dogs, and obviously I don't want to mention COVID, but after COVID, the first lockdown kind of lifted. Obviously we couldn't go abroad, so me and my husband looked somewhere in the UK. And one thing we massively struggled with was high-end, and I'm not talking luxury, everyone bands around the luxury, I'm talking about high-end, opulent holiday homes that are self-catering, that you can take a dog, you can take a child, and you can have a spa treatment, you could hire a chef. In the Peak District, it was more or less non-existent, and even further afield. There was always a little bit, there was always a compromise, like there was no hot tub or no dog, or you can't take your children, or they don't do the luxury upgrades, or they don't do the experiences. There was always something that wasn't what I wanted. So from that, we were like, look, we've been in property quite a while. I love the interior design. In lockdown, I started to do my interior design diploma. And it's something that I've been doing in our other properties, our rental properties, for a couple of years, and just genuinely loved it. And we thought, sod it, let's just go buy something ourselves in the Peaks. So we have 2 units. So we have Fox Lowgrange, which is a large manor house that has got 8 apartments in it. And you can either book one of the apartments, which we've got 2 1-beds, 5 2-beds, and 1 3-bed. You can book one apartment, you can book all the apartments, you can book half the apartments. And then we have Candle House, which is, so that one's in Buxton. Then we have Candle House, which is a 4-bedroom candle factory, which is in Castleton, which is an amazing place. If no one's been there in Peak District, like it's the go-to place. It's got fantastic views, like I say, it's an old candle factory, it's got a well, and things like that. So they're just beautiful properties in beautiful locations, and everything I just said about what I wanted, we offer. So for me, it's not a 5-star stay, it's a 5-star experience, and that's something that I was really keen to create, and that's what we have created in the Peak District.
What would you say has been the biggest learning curve so far since you've switched from a kind of investor, buy, refurbish, refinance, to short-term rental? What's been that big takeaway so far?
Oof. There has been so many. Like it's this. You can't go into hospitality and work 9 to 5. It's not a job, it's a lifestyle, and it really is. So that's my number. If people are going into, I know a lot of people go into serviced accommodation, they're going to the contractor market, and that I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the strategy that I do. You have got to be personally invested in creating them experiences, and it's a lifestyle. It isn't a 9 to 5 job. So that is, for me, the biggest learning, thinking that I could turn my laptop off at 10 o'clock at night. There'd be no guests calling me, and because of what we charge, so we're not somewhere that's cheap. It's somewhere where people save up to go, or it's someone who's got an disposable income that goes. When people are paying in the height of July, for example, £400-500 a night, when they ring you at any time of day or night, they expect that phone to be answered. For anyone else, the level of expectations here. For my guests, it's up here. And we always want to deliver on that. That's what makes us better than our competitors.
Take me back into the history of what you've done before this. So I know you've done sort of investment and that side of things, but talk me through that kind of journey of investment. How did you learn what you learned, and what would you say is some of the kind of stepping stones looking back along the way, which has brought you to where you are now?
So I started with no knowledge in property in 2018. It was my husband that had all the knowledge. It certainly wasn't me. I'm an equine nutritionist by trade, which is probably the furthest thing that you could ever get from property.
What is that? A equine?
Yes, basically I used to go around the UK telling people what they should feed their horses. That was my job. I went to uni to be an equine nutritionist. From then I went into kind of the sales side of it, and then once I had my first daughter Isabel, I set up my own business. My husband's always been an entrepreneur, really pushed me to just, why are you working so hard for somebody else? You need to do this for yourself. So I kind of went into that niche. In 2018, James had been investing for a couple of years. He'd just finished a new build project that we'd done. And he's like, Laura, there must be a quicker way what we're doing. Saving up for deposits, to buy a house, it's just too slow. This is not what the big guys do. I want to find out what they do. So he went on his merry way, researched loads of different people, went on these seminars, we've all been there. And then he come across Progressive Property. Now, say what you want about trading companies, but they've changed my life. And I'll be forever grateful for that. I actually went to do a social media course that day for my current business, my sales business. And James went to do a beginner's welcome. This is what we kind of do in property. I spent half a day talking to all these property investors, thinking, I don't want to do this sales thing anymore. I want to do this property thing. This is so much more interesting, and the money's better.
Definitely, yeah.
I don't have to spend all this time driving up and down the UK selling a pair of boots or a bag of horse feed. So that night when I met up with James that evening, I thought, oh my God, he's going to kill me. He's literally just bought me a new van. Anyway, he comes bounding down. Now, if anyone knows my husband, he's a typical Yorkshire bloke, proper tight. Says it as it is. And he went, Laura. I went, what? He went, I've got something to tell you. And I went, well, just hang on a minute, because I've got something to tell you first. He went, what? I went, you go first, actually. He went, right, I don't think you should do this horsey thing anymore. I booked you on this property course. There's this thing called deal packaging. I've seen this girl called Katie Wilson. If she can do it, you can do it. So I've signed you up. I'm like, oh, I'm really glad you've said that. Why? Because I don't want to do this property thing either. I think I want to, sorry, the sales thing. I want to do the property thing with you. I think I'm really good at the sales and marketing side of it. And he's like, literally the next day I shut my business down. And we went into it full time together just before we got married, which
Wow.
wasn't the best move, but yeah, so our wedded life or married life is been working together, and yeah, the rest is definitely been interesting.
Having a blast, gonna get it on the Boostly podcast. Boostly like Bruce Lee, cause it's so hard and the T is loose leaf. Making up those rhymes, don't write it, just do it loosely.